Mr. Gatto, you asked your second question of Mr. Karoglian.
Okay. So Chahe,
Thank you.
What is your position on the health care reform package that was voted on yesterday in the United States Congress?
I'm all for it. In fact, I was watching it anxiously to see what the conclusion was going to be, and just like I'm sure everybody in this room, the only concern I have about the plan is not the plan itself, but as to how insurance companies will take advantage of that and immediately overnight will increase our premiums to God knows to what percent. I'm hearing that it can be raised up to 40%. I'm not sure if that is possible or it is reality or is it just a threat by the insurance companies. The only, again, segment, the only concern, not a segment, the only concern I have at this point is that the insurance companies will use this opportunity for their own benefit and raise our premiums. Other than that, wholeheartedly, 100% I'm for it.
Thank you.
You have 30 seconds to respond, or?
I don't have a rebuttal.
Okay. Well, now you have the opportunity to ask Ms. Nahabedian.
Okay, so Ms. Nahabedian or Naidi, a lot of people say that Democratic primaries are too negative and that we tear each other up only to make ourselves more vulnerable to Republicans. Now, you've expressed tonight the concern that even though this is a 2-to-1 Democratic district, that this might fall into the hands of a Republican. There have already been several disputed accusations from your campaign, including that I recruited a candidate with a domestic violence record to run against you, that I violated campaign finance laws, neither of which are true. Do you pledge here and now to run a campaign based on the issues and not based on personal attacks and accusations? And if somebody does make an untrue accusation on your behalf, do you pledge to take strong action, including possibly withdrawing from the race if you think it's above and beyond the pale?
So the question that I'm hearing is, do I pledge to run a non-personal attack campaign? And the beginning part of that, Mike, was what had happened with the letter and such. Okay, so let me say this, that it is entirely legitimate for a group of women leaders in this area to be concerned that a man is running for this office who has a public record of public conviction of a crime against another woman. And so these women are concerned and are completely within their right to express their concern. And the letter that you're referring to makes no mention of any candidate. And as you remember, there are or were 2 other major candidates in this race. And now there are 1 other than us. And the idea that this specific inference is for you is an inference that each individual is making. And I want to mention something about this idea of getting people in the race, etc. It is not unusual for unfortunately this sort of thing to happen in LA. And if you remember, just in the last congressional election with Judy Chu, where Judy Chu was running, and then late in the race, a Betty Chu, who's a distant relative of hers, got into the race. And I have to tell you, Judy Chu herself and her supporters were highly suspicious of Betty Chu getting into the race, and they expressed that concern and suspicion that Betty Chu was entered into the race to mislead or confuse voters at the ballot box. It's my red light. So I think I don't like negative campaigning. In fact, 3 days after I was in the race, there was a video circulated about me conspiring to commit voter fraud. 3 days after I got into election.
Here's
and
your time.
Mr. Curl,
That's your time.
all right.
Mr. Gatto?
Yeah, my issue with that email, by the way, one of the signatories of that was a campaign contributor of mine, and she told me quite clearly that your campaign had approached them to write it, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, I think that was many people's problem with the email, was that it did not identify the candidates. You accused one of the leading male candidates of having a domestic violence conviction, and a lot of people who read that thought it was me, incorrectly. And my wife didn't like getting that email the week that she was giving birth. I think it was a very nasty implication. The second thing is, you also are glossing over the specific accusation that I recruited a candidate, or that somebody recruited a candidate against this race. And I think we've proven that's not the case.
Time.